So hopefully you'll mute everybody but us, right?
Yes, that was the idea of making you guys co-hosts.
Do we mute ourselves, or are you doing it for us? I'm sorry, I don't understand what you want me to do.
Right now, Susan, you don't need to do anything.
Okay.
When we do begin, I will be able to put everyone in listening mode, as Rabbi Josh likes to call it.
Thank you.
And I just like to add that these Zoom services always have a level of excitement because you just never know what's going to go wrong at any time. I hope everybody just, we just all go with the flow together, right? We're all family and we'll just be together. I had a whole event this morning where the sound went out. It was impossible.
And I called the funeral home twice because I wanted to go to Marilyn's. I wanted to attend it, and I kept clicking the wrong thing. You had to go to underneath her name in the obituary about her accomplishments. There was a here, and you had to click on here. Other places didn't work. So when I finally got that instruction, then when I clicked on here and I got a blank page, and then I had to go back again. So I spoke to them several times, but they were so kind about helping me get on it. But I'm not going to get to see, I'm not going to be there to kind of do it. And
my computer froze twice during that service.
I'm sorry?
My computer froze twice.
Oh.
On the Coffin website, so I went off it and went onto my iPad. So I was able to do it that way, but it was really difficult.
Yeah, I didn't get to hear the ice cream story. It froze right then.
Oh, no.
Oh, boy.
Well, Shabbat Shalom, everyone. It is wonderful to see you virtually and everywhere else. It is my pleasure to introduce Wendy and Ted Lawrence, who will be our Shlichei Tzibur. In a moment, I'm going to put everyone in listening mode. And then we will share our screen. And all right. Ted, Wendy, are you guys ready?
We are ready.
All right, take it away.
So Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Rabbi Daniel introduced us. We're honored to get to lead you tonight, and we'll start off by singing Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malakei Hasharet, Malakei Elyon, Mimelech, Malkei Hamlakim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bokem leShalom, Malakei HaShalom, Malakei Elyon, Mimelech, Malkei Hamlakim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malakei Hasharet, Malakei Elyon, Mimelech, Malkei Hamlakim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Barkuni leShalom, Malakei HaShalom, Malakei Elyon, Mimelech, Malkei Hamlakim, Hakadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malakei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malkei Amlakim, Hakadosh, Hakadosh Baruch Hu. Teitem Lishalom, Malakei HaShalom, Malakei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malkei Amlakim, Hakadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malakei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malkei Amlakim, Hakadosh, Hakadosh Baruch Hu. Well, next we'll turn to Lecha Dodi. You're going to hear a different version tonight. Our son, who's a cantor, awoke in the middle of the night and said he had this vision that Lecha Dodi is a cheerful song. It's filled with joy and with happiness and should be an Irish drinking song. So you're going to hear a new version tonight of Lecha Dodi. Lecha Dodi lekra kala, P'nei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha Dodi lekra kala, P'nei Shabbat nikabela. V'zamor v'zachor b'dur echad, Hishmiyanu el hamyuchad, Adonai echad, U'shemo echad, L'shem u'tiferet v'li'ila. It's a simple melody, you can all do it. Lecha Dodi lekra kala, P'nei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha Dodi lekra kala, P'nei Shabbat nikabela. Lekrat Shabbat lechu v'necha, Ki mikor habrecha, Mehirosh mikedim nesucha, Sof ma'asev ma'shavat lila. Lecha Dodi lekra kala, P'nei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha Dodi lekra kala, P'nei Shabbat nikabela. Oh, not yet. I got too excited. It orari, kiva o rekumi ori. Ori, shidaberi, kevod Adonai alayit nigla. Lecha Dodi lekra kala, P'nei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha Dodi lekra kala, P'nei Shabbat nikabela. Boi v'shalom ateret pala, Gam b'simcha u'tehola, Toke munei am sekula. Boi kala, Lecha Dodi lekra kala, P'nei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha Dodi lekra kala, P'nei Shabbat nikabela. I have to work on my choreography. I'll do better next time. Next, we'd like to sing a song for Shabbat, Mizmor Shir. Mizmor Shir le'yom haShabbat, Tov le'odot la'Adonai, Ulezamer le'shimkat elyon, Ulezamer le'shimkat elyon. Mizmor Shir le'yom haShabbat, Tov le'odot la'Adonai, Ulezamer le'shimkat elyon, Ulezamer le'shimkat elyon. Lehagid babokar
כחסדך, ואמונתך עלי לילות. עלי עשור, עלי נבל, עלי היגיון וכינור. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמחת עליון, ולזמר לשמחת עליון, ולזמר לשמחת עליון.
All right, we are going to switch the computer around, so give us a second. Are you going to come join me? As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we in our own day be among those who kindle light. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lihadlik ner shel Shabbat. Oops, I gotta come on your side.
Yitkadal v'yitkadash Shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
V'yamad yirahi hutei v'yamlik malchutei. V'chayekon v'yomekon uv'kayet kol beit Yisrael. V'agala, v'agala, uv'izman kaharim v'imeru.
Amen.
Yehei Shmei Rabbah mevorach, le'olam olam me'amaya. Yitbarach, Yitbarach, v'yishtabach, v'yipar, v'yitromam, v'yitnatzeh, v'yithadar, v'yithaleh, v'yithalal, Shemei Kedusha, B'rihu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nehemata, da'am v'iran v'alma, v'imeru. Amen.
And if you're able, please rise for the Baruch Hu.
Lai, 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 lai. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamevorach. Baruch Adonai Hamevorach le'olam vaed. Please be seated. Please be seated.
God of mystery, thank you for the gift of this day, for the one ending and the one about to begin. Help me to see the moments and the hours, those already past and those to come, as blessings, as teachers. Guide me to service for your name's sake. Grant me comfort and rest, so that I enter the new day with a sense of joy, hope, and peace. Then, God of old, I will become a source of love, a beacon of wonder and awe and grace. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'ma'ariv, Arabim.
Light is sown by the righteous, tucked into cracks in the sidewalks, dropped in the grass, breathed into the air, left waiting for others to find. You who are upright in heart, let your deeds declare your love. Let your hands be a source of healing. Let your joy be a fountain of blessing. Rejoice in righteousness and spread holiness throughout your days. Light is sown for you. Seek it, find it, magnify it in service to God's holy name. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael.
Please rise if you're able for the Shema. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod, Kevod Malchuto, Le'olam Vaed.
Please be seated.
Ve'ahavata et Adonai Elohecha ve'kol levavecha uve'kol nafshecha uve'kol meodecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anoki mitzavaka hayom al levavecha V'nishinatam lemanecha, v'dibartam bam, v'shivtecha b'betecha, uv'lechtecha b'derech, uv'shokbecha uv'kumecha, uv'kshartam lehod hayadecha, v'hayu latotafot b'neinecha, uv'ktavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha leman tishkenu v'asitem kol mitzvotai v'hem kedoshim leloheikem ani Adonai Eloheikem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem lelohim ani Adonai Eloheikem.
Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands and marching together.
La 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 Ima Chava Elima Dona Mikamo Kane Darba Kodesh Nora Tehila O Sefele Nora Tehila O Sefele Malahu Teka Rauvanecha Bokeyayam Lifno Mesha Lifne Moshe Umiriam Ze'eli Anu Ve'ameru Ze'eli Anu Ve'ameru Adonai Yimlo Le'olam Va'ed Adonai Yimlo Le'olam Va'ed La 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 la. Ne'emar ki fada Adonai et Yaakov, u'ka'alo miyad chazak mihimenu, Baruch ata Adonai, Ga'al Yisrael. So we'd like to sing Hashki Venu. This was arranged for us by Cantor Annie Rose. It was actually 5 parts. You heard one of the parts last week from Dave Gitterman. We have 2 of them.
And we had Deb Katz and Ralph Katz did the other 2 parts. So we had a flute and a clarinet when we did it as a group.
So you're getting this in pieces. Hashki Venu Adonai Eloheinu L'shalom V'hamidenu Malkeinu L'chaim U'feros aleinu Sukat Shelomecha Le'agavenu Be'etzatova V'panecha Ve'hoshienu L'man Shemecha
And the Shamru was next.
Meshameru B'nei Yisrael Et HaShabbat La'asot Et HaShabbat L'dorotam Berit Olam Beini uvein B'nei Yisrael Oti le'olam Beini uvein B'nei Yisrael Oti le'olam Ki shet yamim asa Adonai Et hashamayim ve'et haaretz U'bayom hashvi'i Shabbat vayinapash.
Take a sip of water.
Please rise if you're able for the tefillah. Adonai Sifata Tiftach Ufia Gita Hilateka. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avoteinu V'Imoteinu Elohei Abraham Elohei Yitzhak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor V'Hanora El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim V'Konei Hakol V'Zocher Chasdei Avot B'Imahot U'Mevi Gula Livnei B'nechem
למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מקיים הכל אתה רב להושיע, מקלקל חיים בחסד, מקיים הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא כהולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר, מי כמוך בגבורות ומתומלה, מלך ממית ומקיים ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמר אתה לחיות הכל, ברוך אתה אדוני מקיים הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, קדושים בכל יום תחול לסלע, ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
Days pass and the years vanish, and we walk sightless among miracles. God, fill our eyes. Whoops, wait a sec. God, fill our eyes with seeing and our mind with knowing. Let there be moments when your presence like lightning illumines the darkness in which we walk. Help us to see wherever we gaze that the bush burns unconsumed, and we, clay touched by God, will reach out for holiness and exclaim in wonder, how filled with awe is this place, and we did not know it.
And we remain standing in silent prayer until you are done or until the slides get there.
No, it's this one. Go to the next one over.
Pick it up or just sing.
Shalom Rav Yisrael Hamka Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Hamka Tasim Leolam. Ki atah melech gadol lekol hashalom. Ki atah melech gadol lekol hashalom. Shalom Rav Yisrael Hamka Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Hamka Tasim Leolam. V'tov b'einecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael, v'kol עת ובכל שעה Shalom Rav Yisrael Amka Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amka Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam.
And we're going to do the Misha Barak next. So our thoughts go to those in need of healing, whether that be healing of body or healing of mind or healing of spirit. This week, our thoughts, oh, you know what, I'm gonna turn the light on just a minute. And if there are any extra things that are not on the list, as I read them, put them into the chat. This week, our thoughts go to Terry Bishop, Joanne Blumberg, Valentina Olson, Hillary Hansen, Bridget Stewart, Joel Berger, Margaret Leslie, Mary Hopkins, Judy Pender, Melissa Wilson, Milton Doyle, Carolyn Bob Ross, Jack Wilson, Lauren Alan Dorsey, Ross, Mila Town, Mark, Joanne and John, Lucy, Robert, Joseph Cospito, Abby, Bruce Levy, Leroy Lamphere, Perry Pearson, Richard Green, Stephen Blackman, Patricia Anderson, Marty Scott, blessing to Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Renee Callaghan, Hillary, Jocelyn, Rachel, Chuck, Elizabeth, Stephen Blackman, Justice Ginsburg, Alan Ament, Dave Seeley, and Sam Silver.
Misha Berak Avotenu, Avraham, Yitzhak Yaakov. Misha Berak Imotenu, Sarah Rivka Leah Berakel. May the one who blessed our mothers, may the one who blessed our fathers, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, and bless us as well. Bless us with the power of your healing. Bless us with the power of your hope. May our hearts be filled with understanding and strengthened by the power of your love. Misha Berak Avotenu, Avraham, Yitzhak, Yaakov. Mishaberak imotenu, Sararit Kaleat Verakel. May the one who blessed our mothers, may the one who blessed our fathers, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, and bless us as well. Bless us with the vision for tomorrow. Help us to reach out to those in pain. May the warmth of friendship ease our sorrow. Give us courage, give us faith, show us the way. Mishaberak avotenu, Mishaberak imotenu. Hear our prayer, 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 and bless us as well.
Well, it's traditional during summer services to not do a Torah reading, but to give a Devar Torah, which I will do tonight. Our two parshot are Matot and Maseh. And Matot means tribes, and Maseh means the marches. We'll get to the title of the marches is certainly very appropriate. So Matot vows begins. I'll summarize both these parsha briefly. But before I do that, what I want to focus on tonight is the concept of having principles, but having principles that let you adapt to the situation, that don't lock you into doing things that don't make sense in the current situation. And so we begin Matot with a very strange portion on vows, and essentially how women's vows don't matter, and how men can cancel them out. We're going to skip that part tonight. My wife would probably do me in if I focused on that one. And then the next portion of this parsha, it has to do with the Midianites. And in the prior parsha, in the prior parsha, the Midianites had tempted the men to leave of the Israelites into idol worship. This was such a terrible thing that Moses is commanded by God to not just punish the Midianites, but to kill all of them, or at least, as will turn out, virtually all of them. So they go do battle and they kill all of the men, and they bring home the women and all sorts of spoils. And Moses is quite irritated with them because they didn't kill all the married women also. So then they have to go and kill all the married women. So this is the first decision that Moses makes, is to tell them to kill all the married women, because he has strong principles of trying to preserve the purity of our people. Now, my take on this is that this is symbolic. In this battle, all the men are killed, all the married women, women who have known men, and not a single Israelite is supposed to have been killed. And that to me means it's symbolic. It isn't real. It couldn't have possibly happened that way. And so I think that what Moses is doing here is stating a very, very strong principle that he believes in, that and that principle will hold forever for him. And maybe when he doesn't adapt, although probably this was a little bit severe, and that's why I think it was symbolic. So we go on in this parsha to talk about the Reubenites and the Gadites, and these are two of the tribes who own cattle, and they are very happy on the current side of the Jordan. They're not really interested in getting land that's allotted to them on the other side in Canaan. And Moses initially freaks out, and he goes, "This is what got you 40 years in the desert. How could you possibly say this?" And then the Reubenites and the Gadites come back and say, no, 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 you misunderstood us. We are willing to fight. Will be in the shock troops. And Rabbi Daniel told me the shock troops, the way that's translated, means they're willing to be the frontline troops to go into Canaan and therefore potentially take more casualties. So Moses listened to this, and this was not his plan, but he listens and he sees the spirit of it, and he's willing to compromise. So we'll come back to that. That's decision number 2. And then we go from there to Masseh, the marches, and that is Numbers 33:1 through 36:13. And that's a very appropriately named because the whole first part of this is we went from here to there to there to there. And I was discussing this parsha with my son, as I mentioned, the cantor, and he told me that this part of the Torah gets a very special melody, and there are only well, I'll say 5 other times that we use this melody. One is in what he called the March of the Chiefs. This is in Numbers 10. I don't know, Rabbi Daniel, if that's the official name of it, but he called the March of the Chiefs, in which these are all the heads of the tribes are all named, and they name them one by one as they're going to go in order in their march through the wilderness. And it's a melody that we know very well because it's also the Song of the Sea, which we've all sung together in synagogue. It's in Simchat Torah. It's when creation is discussed. It's that melody, and it's also the last line of the Seder. And we all know this melody right away because it's the melody we sing at the end when we read the Torah at the end of each book. Chazak, chazak, v'nit tzasek. And so it's a powerful melody from strength to strength. We stay strong. So it's I think next year if I get this parsha, I'll do a devar on how those 5 things are all related. It's an interesting discussion I had with them, but I'm not going to do that one tonight. I have to keep one in reserve. Right, Rabbi Daniel, you had every year, right? You got to go through all these. You got to keep something in reserve. So then they lay out the boundaries of the promised land. They name lots of commissioners. There's another really important and interesting part of this. It has to do with cities of refuge, which distinguishes manslaughter from murder, which is a really interesting one to talk about. And also the need for a witness if you have a murder. You can't convict somebody of murder on a single witness, which is also fascinating. But what I wanted to talk about, focus on, was Zelophehad and his daughters. So he is one of the patriarchs of the tribes, but there is no man where all the inheritance occurs, and he has 5 daughters. And so if they marry out of their tribe, their ancestral lands will be lost. And this is a big deal if you lose your ancestral lands. So they go to Moses, and this is not the way land's supposed to be inherited. It's supposed to be inherited through men. And Moses listens, and he ultimately makes a decision number 3 tonight, which says that he does say they can marry whom they choose to marry. Pretty big breakthrough for that era, but they have to marry within the tribe. So some restrictions there. But if they stay within their tribe, then all the land will stay within the tribe. So I guess I call this a partial victory. It's not giving women their full rights, but at least it gives them some rights and keeps their land together. And what's really remarkable about this part of the parsha is the daughters are actually named. There are so many important women in the Torah who don't get a name. Moses' mother doesn't get a name. I mean, these are important people, right? Rabbi Daniel, you and I didn't discuss this detail, but there are many important women. These 5 women get named, which I thought was very cool. So to me, the theme that I extracted from this is that Moses has important principles. In decision 1, if you take it literally, the one in which he says they have to kill not only all the men, but all the married women, and if you take that literally, it's rigid and ghastly. But I think that it's really meant to be a symbolic way of stating principles, and which are important to him. And decisions 2, to let the Reubenites and the Gadites stay, but follow through with the spirit of things, and also to listen to the daughters of Zelophehad and compromise with them, shows that that Moses, maybe he even grows through these two parshot and goes from maybe being rigid to really showing the signs of being able to compromise and being able to listen and to change with what's happening. And this is something we look at our current government right now, our current Congress, and it seems like they could read these parshot, because it seems now people state their principles and they can't compromise and they don't know how to work together. They don't know how to come to a decision that keeps some principles, but also leads to some compromise. So maybe we can pray for our Congress to read these two parshot and think about it. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. And we are ready to rise, if you're able, for the Aleinu.
Aleinu leshabeach la'adon hakol, la'atei tegudula yirotzer reshit. Shehu noteh shamayim ve'yosed aretz, Umoshav Yekaro, Bashamayim Mima'al, Ushkinat Uzo Vigove Miramim, Hu Eloheinu Einod, Vanahnu Korim, Umishtakavim Umodim, Lifnei Melech, Malkei Hamlakim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, V'ne'emar, V'haya Adonai, L'melech al kol ha'aretz, V'yom hahu, Yeh Adonai echad, U'shemo echad.
Please be seated. Why should I wish to see God better than this day? I see something of God in each hour of the 24 and each moment then. In the faces of men and women, I see God. And in my own face in the glass, I find letters from God dropped in the street, and every one is signed by God's name. And I leave them where they are, for I know that wheresoever I go, others will punctually come forever and ever. Our Shloshim list for this week is Marilyn Jeffs, Shoshana Eisenberg, Ron Popik, Richard Humphrey, Selig Alpern. And before I read the yahrzeit list, if there are any names to be added that I don't say, please put them into the chat. Arnold Abrahamson, Raphael Adler, Minnie Baker, Joseph Barkley, Clifford Beresh, Marie Billy, Jonathan Bulkley, Donald Churchill, Sylvia Kotzen, Abraham Fishman, Paul Fox, Magda Gombozi, Charlotte Miller, Alvin Novetsky, Riva Rice, Julie Romolino, Bernice Sherwind, Hortense Weiner, Leon Wolf, Alan Amond, Dave Seeley, Ellen Moore, Larry Kaiser, Rick Ilwhite, Paul Milch. If there are no other names, please rise for a Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash Shemei Rabbah, v'yamad divrah kirutei v'yamlik malkutei, V'kayekon v'yomekon, uv'kayechakol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala v'zman karim v'ibru amen. Yehi shemei rabba mibarak le'olam olamei omaya, yitbarak v'yishtabak v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei kudsha b'richu, le'olam min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran v'yalma v'ibru amen. Yehi shalom and rabban min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'ibru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'ibru amen. Please be seated.
So we'll close with a Don Olam.
Slightly different
Just
version.
very slightly different. So just listen in the middle for Wendy and me to have a little duet. And then the ending will be a surprise. You want to give us a note?
Oh, yeah, I do. What did I say? A.
Adon Olam, Asher malach, B'terem kol, Yetzir nivra, Le'ed nasa, B'eretz kol, Azai melech Shem lo nikra, Ve'akarei kidlot hakol levado yimloch nora ve'hu haya ve'hu hoveh ve'hu yeh v'tipara. Adon olam Hashem malach b'terem kol yitzir nivra le'et nasa v'tevso kol azai melech shemo nikra ve'yakarei lidlot hakol lilavo limloch Torah ve'hu haya ve'hu hoveh ve'hu yeh v'tipara. Adon olam Hashem malach b'terem kol yitzir nivra le'et nasa v'tevso kol azai melech shemo nikra ve'yakarei lidlot hakol Livado yimloch Torah ve'hu haya ve'hu hoveh v'tipara ve'hu haya ve'hu hoveh v'tipara. Adon olam asher malach b'terem kol yetzir nivra. Adon olam asher malach b'terem kol yetzir nivra le'et nasa v'ketzo kol azai melech shemo nikra ve'yakarei kidlot kol livado yimloch Torah ve'hu haya ve'hu hoveh ve'hu yeh v'tipara. Adon olam asher malach b'terem kol yitzir nivra le'et nasa v'ketzo kol azai melech shemo nikra ve'yakarei kidlot hakol livado yimloch Torah ve'hu haya ve'hu hoveh v'tipara ve'hu haya ve'hu hoveh v'tipara ve'hu haya ve'hu hoveh v'tipara ve'hu haya ve'hu hoveh v'tipara. Shabbat shalom, everybody.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom, everyone. I want to thank Ted and Wendy for an amazing service tonight. Thank you all for joining us. I'm sorry if the guitar joined a little bit of the Mr. Merrill's names. If you liked that idea, it was Ted and Wendy's idea. If you didn't like it was mine. I'll take all the blame for it. And I wish everyone a Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Watch